welcome. My name's Beck and you are watching Beck's Crafty Nook. Today we are talking about my 2025 goals. Today is going to be a little bit of a story time telling you how I have achieved my goals in the past using planning and manifestation techniques. And we'll go through a new manifestation kit that I've made up so that I can help you achieve your 2025 goals using the same techniques as me. Now, if I've already done this in the past, you may be wondering, why do I need to do it again and what happened last time? So before we get into the story about why that was so and what I'd like to do now, we need to know the very first thing about this manifestation technique. And it's very basic, that thoughts lead to actions and then your actions will lead to reality. That is the overarching principle of how I do this and how it works for me. But I have learned a manifestation technique, changing your reality. So let's talk about what happened last time. So the first time I did this, I was a hairdresser. I had been working for other salons for a long time. And I'd gone through some hard times with a breakup and stuff like that. And I was working 2 jobs and my life was exhausting. I tend to do this sort of thing when my life gets exhausting and I've just had enough and I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. We're doing something else. And then I think up of a plan of what we're going to do next. So in this instance, I had started to think that I don't like this life. I want to do something else. That was the thought. And then I must have been discussing it with my friend. I remember we were just laying on the bed, having a girly chat, and my friend was like, well, my other friend has this unit on the Gold Coast. We were living in Ipswich. She's got this unit on the Gold Coast. We should just go live together. And so I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And so, my life was annoying enough that I had that thought, and the thought led to an action, which was to move to the Gold Coast. And I thought, I'll just get a hairdressing job, everything will be fine. So let's just go. So my friend and I, we packed up all our stuff, we signed a lease with the other friend, we moved in. Awesome. Now at that stage, I had been working as a hairdresser for like 10 years. I could do all the work, but the salons that I worked at, and this is a common thing with apprenticeships, they try and keep you as cheap as possible for as long as possible, and they won't sign your work off. And I had rung the apprenticeship board and all the things, and they didn't care, and there was nothing I could do. But I thought I was like a 3rd year hairdresser, but I was doing senior hairdresser work. I could do everything except for perms. Lots of people can't do perms these days. So anyway, I went to go get a job and nobody would hire me because I wasn't finished and I was an adult, so I would cost more money to put on as an apprenticeship and all that sort of thing. So then I started looking for just whatever jobs. I applied for Centrelink and I went onto the Job Seeker, which is a payment that you can get if you're looking for work, but it's not very much money. It's like $200 a fortnight. So I'd been on that for like 6 weeks. I'd been applying for several jobs every week, and I knew that if I could just get an interview, then I could get the job. If someone meets me in person, generally I can get a job. However, I did have some interviews as a hairdresser, and I didn't get the job because it'd just be too much money for them to employ an adult apprentice. So then I was at like a crisis point because I couldn't afford my phone. I think I afforded the rent, but I could hardly buy any food. I was living off just like sandwiches. And I remember laying on my floor in that house and I was looking up at the ceiling and I was like, actually, no, that's not true. What happened next was I decided I was going to sell. I had 2 cars. My grandma had bought me a car and I had driven that up to the Gold Coast, and I had the other car which was just a bomb, the brakes didn't work, all that kind of thing. I was like, I'm going to sell the bomb car, and I'm going to use that money, and I'm going to pay for, there was at a local beauty supplier, they had a like waxing course that you could do, and I thought, I'm going to rent a room and I'll do waxing, because I was already doing the eyebrow wax, eyebrow tint, eyelash tint at my last salon, and I thought I was pretty good at it. Lots of people came to me, and that was where I was making a lot of money at the hair salon, not so much doing hair. I did a lot of men's cuts, I did a lot of cutting. We didn't do a lot of colours because the boss would just charge like random prices for it, so we couldn't keep the colour clients. So I sold my bomb car to my brother. My brother likes to tinker around, so he didn't care that the brakes didn't work. But it had gears, so I used to use the gears to slow down. And so he bought that for $1,000. And then I spent that, I think it was $500 for the course. I spent $500 on the course. I did that. And then the next step was to go and try and get a room to rent. So this was another thought leading to an action. I thought, I'm going to become a beauty therapist. I'm going to rent a room. I will be successful, because in the past, people have loved what I do with our eyebrows and their waxing. So then I had called around to some salons to see, or I'd looked in some classifieds, and a lot of the time they wanted $200 a week rent. I wasn't sure that I'd be able to do that. I was in a different town. I had no clients. And I didn't see myself making $200 a week or more. I would need to make more because I need to make a wage in waxing, per week straight up. So I looked at some places anyway, and just to see, maybe if it's busy enough, or they've crazy busy, then yes, I could make that kind of money. I could physically make that per day, because it takes me half an hour to do eyebrow wax, eyebrow tint, eyelash tint. So yeah, physically I could do that, but the business needs to be busy enough, and they need to recommend all their clients to me. So what are the chances of that? So after about a week of searching, I could not find anything that was sort of cheap enough. I really wanted $50 a week. $50 a week, then I think, because I still had the Centrelink money, you were able to work a little bit, especially if you were building your own business kind of thing. So that's when I was laying on my floor. I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I was like, I need a room to rent for $50. I need this to happen. I want this to happen. I want to stay on the Gold Coast. I don't want to move back home. So I really intensely wanted that. I thought it, and then I got up and went on with my day. I had put my own ad onto Gumtree, looking for a beauty room to rent for around $50 a week in the Robina area on the Gold Coast. So that was a very intense thought and feeling, and as I was saying that, I was imagining having a beauty room, being a beauty therapist, having lots of clients, and I put that out into the universe, and then I just shut it off and I went on with my day. So here's where it gets weird. I get a phone call from a random lady. She's like, "Hi, I saw you out in Gumtree." I was like, "Yes." She's like, "You're looking for a beauty room to rent in the Robina area for $50. I was like, "Yeah, that's me. Do you have something?" And she said, "Well, I was walking past this salon. They're called Expressions in Hair, and they're in Robina on Ron Penhaligon Way, and they're looking for someone. So why don't you give them a call?" I was like, "Okay, thanks. Thank you." And I hung up. So I gave them a call, and Lynn answers the phone. Very nice. "Hi, I've heard that you're looking for someone to rent your room. I'm a beauty therapist. I'm really interested. It's the right price for me. Can I come and have a look? Do you want to meet up? Whatever." She was like, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "Where's Ron Penhaligon Way? I live in Varsity Lakes, but I don't know where that is." And she was like, "What do you mean you don't know where that is? How did you find out that we had a room to rent?" So we arranged to meet, and I went there, and they were like, her daughter's so funny. Like, the mother was sort of running the hair salon, but it was the daughter's salon too. And the daughter's like, and they both like, they love to kind of like gossip, and I love gossip too. But they were like, once we arranged to work there, and Lynn actually gave me 3 weeks free rent so I could start building, and that was magical. And things were successful. So later on we were like chatting, and they're like, how did you find out about us? Like, because you didn't know where we were. And it turns out they had advertised on their blackboard out the front that they were looking for someone. So this lady, I think her name was Jenny, she had walked past, seen the sign. They're looking for someone to rent their beauty room. She'd gone home or gone on her phone or gone onto Gumtree. She had seen my ad. This had nothing to do with her or anything that she wanted, but she had the impulse to pick up the phone and call me and let me know. There was no reason for her to do that. She wasn't even a client of the salon. The girl said to me, they're like, Jenny, she hasn't been to us in so long. Like, something happened and she stopped coming to the salon. So this is called a synchronicity. So it's when something happens in your reality and it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but it happens directly for you. Like, there was no reason for her to call me. Like, after she made that phone call, there was nothing in it for her. So yeah, that's your thoughts lead to actions, and that will lead to your reality. So sometimes when you watch manifestation stuff and they say, you just put it out into the universe and it will come to you, that's how that works. But what you've got to be doing is thinking about narrowly thinking about what you need all the time for those thoughts to be going out. And then when the opportunity comes, you take it. So when I got that phone call, instead of thinking, that's weird, it didn't come from the salon, I don't know about that, I just went, okay, somebody called me, let's follow up the lead. So I rented that room, everything was great, that was the start of my business. And then that led me to putting, I wasn't doing very well because the actual salon, they did eyebrows too, which is whatever. So they didn't recommend everybody to me. There was one lady, this is amazing too. One lady, her name was Michelle. I have her daughter on my TikTok, so hopefully she'll see this too. She'll know who she is. And she said to Lynn, I'll give Beck a try, because I'd had no clients yet and I've been there for a couple of days. She gave me a try and she was like, that was okay. And she pretty much, her and another lady, Caroline, single-handedly recommended all of their friends and locals to me. So that was like another thing that happened. Like, all of my clients knew each other because those two people pretty much recommended all my clients to me. All I had to do was do a good job on the eyebrows. And like, there's a couple of times I messed things up accidentally. I would never ever intentionally, mess anything up, but you're not perfect. So yeah, that was amazing. And they ended up moving their salon home, and they didn't want to take me with them, but I had enough of my own clients. They were mine. I had all the client lists. I did all that stuff. So I ended up moving to another salon, which was just around the corner. Again, I just put my feelers out, and there happened to be someone there, and that was all good. And then that didn't go so well for me. In the end, they said they would finish my hairdressing apprenticeship, and but they wanted me to start doing hair as well, and that was fine. A lot of my beauty clients would let me do their hair, but then it all got weird because, as I said, I could do everything a senior hairdresser could do. And so I booked in color corrections, stuff like that. Everything went fine. I didn't do anything wrong. But some reason they sort of lost confidence in me, and they were like, we don't want you doing hair. And then they started trying to give my beauty clients to like one of their family members. It was like a family run salon. And then they were like trying to cram haircuts in when I had beauty clients booked. Like, it was all a bit weird. And I was like, no, this isn't happening. What you're doing is wrong. And they sort of said, well, if you don't speak badly about us, we're going to sign you off on your apprenticeship. So we did that. So they signed me off, so now I have my certificate. And like the trainer said that, they said, because I called my trainer, I'm like, I'm going to quit. I'm out of this salon. They're doing the wrong thing by me, and I'm not having it. I'm just going to spend $2,000 and I'm going to finish this apprenticeship, because you could go to TAFE and do that. And she was like, no. Let me make a phone call. I'm going to convince them to sign you off. And she did. So that was another thing. Like, I had that thought, I'm out of there. I'm not doing it. This is how I'll move on. Or the thought was, I'm going to finish this apprenticeship. I'm going to get signed off. And I made a phone call, and she made it happen for me. So then I called my clients, and I told the salon as well, I'm taking my business mobile. They were sort of like, oh, we can't do that. Originally, I told them that I would sell my business to them, and then they would have had the clients, but they didn't want to buy it. They didn't want to have my phone number. I said, you'll buy my phone number and the business, and it would have been cheap or whatever, but thank God they didn't. So I could keep all my database, and I told them that, and there was nothing that they could do. So I went mobile, and that went really well too, no problems. So then during the course of this, which is another synchronicity, I was thinking my business is doing well, but I just want to take it up to the next level. Like, I don't want to be a millionaire, but I want to earn more than what I was. So at that stage, I was earning a wage of maybe $600 a week, and that was comfortable. But I just want to, like, you own your own business, to step it up a little bit and be able to save and all that sort of thing. So I was constantly thinking that, and I was looking on the internet, like how to grow your business, stuff like that. And I get a cold call. So I put the thought out there, and something came. I took the opportunity. The call was, hi, my name's Caroline. I'm looking for like-minded people who are wanting to grow their business. Now, I had received another call, and I did meet with that person. However, he was wanting businesses to pay a lot of money for advertising. And I said, I just can't do that. And he said, well, maybe I'm not the right person for you. So sometimes you might follow up on something and it doesn't work. That's okay. Just make sure you're following up on the opportunities. So, like, in my mind then, I knew some people were just calling me wanting money. But anyway, I took this call with Caroline. I was like, that sounds great. I want to grow my business. And so she said, let's go meet at the Bond University and we'll have a chat. So I take the opportunity. I went and met with Caroline at the Bond University. She shows me the plan. This was an Amway plan, but don't click off. This isn't about Amway. This was my beauty business. So it turns out there's this new thing that some people are doing with Amway, and this is what she was a part of. It's called Network 21. So Network 21 does a bunch of business training, which I have now learned is manifestation techniques, and you can learn that with me. And then they pair it with Amway. Amway is a business, it's multi-level marketing, but they paired the manifestation technique with the business. And she'd said to me, like, yes, this is Amway, but the stuff you're going to learn you can use on any business, and that is true. So I meet with Caroline at the Bond University. I sign up to Amway, I sign up to Network 21, and I start going to the meetings. And they do like a lot of presentations where they'll talk about success stories and that kind of thing. They do talk about visualizing things, like, if I can do it, then you can do it. And so what I have learned with manifestation is you need to have strong thoughts, feelings, and imagine yourself there. It's already happened. You've already done it. And I definitely did that with I want to be a beauty therapist. And it was kind of easy because I knew that people like my eyebrows, so I'm just going to do that. So now with my new business, I feel like it's easy for me to imagine it as well. So with the new business, I want to be a YouTuber, doing what I love. I want to have time for my kids, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get into my specific goals in a minute, but it's easy for me to visualize because I know that this works. I know I've done it before and it was successful. So I filmed a clip before and then my phone died, so I can't remember what I was talking about. But the point of why I finished the beauty therapy business is after everything was sort of working for me, I spoke about last time that disappeared. With Caroline, the first book that they recommended, they used to recommend, well, they still do, they recommend a lot of business books, and the first one was Personality Plus, and that was all about getting to know people's different personalities. They also say that everybody is selfish. Everybody only cares about themselves and their own reality. Yes, we're empathetic to other people and all that sort of thing. We have relationships, we have friendships, but at the core, everyone cares about themselves. And she also said, people feel good about helping other people. That's something I feel good about. I felt good as a hairdresser because when you change somebody's hair, they feel really good about themselves. Like, even having this filter on, so nice. I put that on because it makes me feel good. So everybody cares about themselves. And so in Personality Plus, it's like how to get along with every personality. And so that was a basic thing that I could do to increase my business. And what I did was I started writing down conversations I would have with clients on their client cards. The client card had whatever service I had done on the date, so I knew how long it had been since they'd last come in. So even I could say, oh, I haven't seen you for a while. How you going? Even though I didn't when you've got 200 clients, you don't specifically remember every single person. But each time I would write on the card, because they had their eyes closed, getting an eyelash tint or getting an eyebrow wax, I would write on the card what we spoke about, just very briefly. And then when they'd pop back in, I could just mention something. Oh, how's that going that we talked about last time? And that would help them to feel really special. And it grew my business, just doing that one simple thing. So everything went well, and then in the end, by the time I was mobile hairdressing, I was earning about $1,000 a week. And I didn't have the rent to pay anymore because I was driving around in my car. So I was doing great. Goal achieved. Now, something I do is once I achieve the goal, I just go back to coasting through life. So this time, I've got to make sure that I keep on track, and then we make another goal. But I mean, once everything was all settled and I was making a good amount of money, I just wanted to have a family. So this is the reason that I stopped the beauty. We had our first daughter, and she was a very difficult baby. Like, when I was hairdressing, I'm like, oh, I've chosen the best job. I'm going to be able to work around my baby. No. So Charlie was diagnosed with autism at 23 months old, but she'd had a very difficult time with feeding, and she didn't sleep, and she didn't talk, she didn't interact, all that kind of stuff. When she was diagnosed, it was really lights on, no one's home. And then I spent the next 5 years intensively researching and performing early intervention with her, and it was wildly successful. She goes to a normal school, she can talk, she has friends, everything's great. She still receives a few therapies for different things, but we're all having a good time. And so I was able to work again, and after 5 years of her early intervention, I got into childcare because I thought I want to help other families. I want to help other parents who are struggling with these feelings of something's wrong, something's not, should I get diagnosed, what should I do? The educators struggle, what do I do with a child who doesn't do the stuff that they're supposed to do at the age they're supposed to do it? So I really got into the inclusion, helping the childcare services that I was working at to include these children, how to do it, learn some early intervention techniques. I learned everything I know from the internet, support groups, therapists. I do not work with therapists who don't teach me what to do. They do suggest with early intervention that you're doing 40 hours of early intervention a week. If you want to help the brain develop, I mean, autistic brains are amazing. It's just like having, you've got an Android operating system and you've got an Apple operating system. They're different. They do the same stuff though. And some systems are better at some things and some systems are better at the other things. But with autism, with the early intervention, we're just teaching the skills that are lacking. So, yeah, it's pretty intensive. So I couldn't work, but then I went into childcare to do that. I've recently left childcare because I felt like I wasn't able to do that as much as I want to. There seems to be, it's very out of the box thinking as to how you treat typically developing children, because you're really breaking everything down into tiny steps. I can go into the whole story in another video, but I was unable to continue the hairdressing because I had to be on time for appointments, and I wasn't able to do that with what my daughter needed. So later on I was able to, but then I thought it'd be a waste to go back to hairdressing when I know so much about inclusion and early intervention. So then I got to a point in my education career that I just felt like I couldn't move forward as much as I would like to. I love working for myself. I hate having to be told what time I've got to work, when I've got to finish. I can't go to my daughter's school stuff. I can't do that because I've got to work. Not a fan. So the opportunity came that I can come back to entrepreneurial work. So I gave that as my reason for leaving, which it was. I was trying to do it on the side, but working in education is exhausting. You can look at anything on TikTok about educators talking about their work, and you are expected to do so much work and not given time to do it. You have to keep in ratio, so you've got to be with the children and be present. But we want you to do all this paperwork. We're going to give you 2 hours to do it, which is insanity. You're never going to get it done. But don't do it at home, but make sure it gets done. So that's the situation. I'm not doing it, exhausted. So, yes, I've gone into my passion, which is crochet. I still want to help in the inclusion world, so I am doing digital downloads. So I started putting together my 2025 plan of goals. We're getting back on track. I've been thinking about and doing manifestation stuff. Started planning again. So I made this toolkit for myself. I have used it in the past. The daily, hourly tracker, that actually came from an idea given to me at the Network 21 seminars, but it is completely original. I took that just from the idea that they say everybody's got 24 hours in a day. It depends what you do with it. And the point that they were making is, instead of sitting and watching TV for 8 hours on a Saturday, you could be doing stuff. You could be making something. You could, be making your digital downloads, or you could be gardening. You could be doing a hobby. You could be doing things towards what your goal is. So that's the story time. So let's get into the goals. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see. And check out these other videos.